Discover the Logitech Blue Sona, the ultimate XLR microphone for any audio recording. Immerse your audience with the Logitech Blue Sona, which captures every word with amazing clarity and studio quality sound. With its sleek and elegant design, the Blue Sona adds to a professional touch to any audio setup. Whether you're a content creator, musician, or voice artist, the Logitech Blue Sona enhances every recording. Available now at logitech.com. Welcome to Classroom Dynamics, a teacher podcast. I'm your host, Adam Todd, and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this incredible educational journey. With over 2 decades of elementary school teaching experience, I understand the challenges that teachers face today. But not to worry, because together we'll tap into the power of motivation to create vibrant centers of learning. In each episode, we'll explore a wealth of knowledge, insights, and innovative teaching strategies that will give you the tools to take your classroom to a whole new level. From practical tips you can implement immediately to creative classroom management techniques that will make your days run smoothly, we'll leave you eager to try new things. Think of it as manageable, bite-sized professional development. You know, the kind of PD that all teachers love. This way, you can start to create an inclusive and stimulating classroom environment that nurtures the individual potential of every child right away. And here's the added bonus. We'll regularly be focusing on seamlessly integrating technology as a support tool for the classroom on multiple levels and across all subject areas. Together, we'll explore how technology can enhance the learning experience, foster critical thinking skills, and open new doors for you and your students' growth in a 21st century world. So are you ready to embark on this transformational adventure? Join me on Classroom Dynamics as we dive deep into the art of teaching, providing you with inspiration, tools, and motivation to elevate your classroom experience so that your students thrive. This is Classroom Dynamics, a teacher podcast, where inspiration meets innovation. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Classroom Dynamics, a teacher podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk classroom design and setup. Whether you're about to start a new school year or you're just in need to rethink your classroom design to make it more conducive for learning, this is going to be the podcast for you. We'll also get you to self-assess whether it's time for a change by rearranging your classroom to best meet the needs for you and your students. Now, in a recent eSchool News article entitled Quieter Classroom, How Classroom Design Promotes Effective Learning, a case was made that the classroom design should address today's modern demands and create a comforting, student-centered space. And I gotta tell you, I couldn't agree more, especially when it comes to accommodating different learning styles and comfort levels. I see this in my own media center on a daily basis. Some kids like sitting on the rug with a laptop in their laps. Some like to sit on a comfortable couch and some of my comfortable seating areas. Some like the good old-fashioned sit at a desk style where they like to sit up at a desktop station at a desk physically. Some even like to just stand at the desktop stations. Some like to work quietly and alone, while others are very chatty and like that social group style way of learning. It's really all how you let the chips fall where they may and allow students to tell you what best works for them by just observing. Observing for a few days as the kids work. Just take some time to observe. They're going to tell you more through that short period of observation than any formal assessment you can throw at them. Trust me. Just watch them work. And whether you're starting out with small baby steps and trying different ideas that may work best for you in the class that looks up at you every day, or you're looking to raise the bar of your own expectations, one of the most effective ways to do that in the classroom is in small groups, especially for differentiated, targeted groups. This can be done in a number of ways. For example, immediately following a mini lesson, you may want to bring those targeted students, no more than 4 or 5 kids together to an interactive whiteboard to directly work with you and have them interact digitally with you and the interactive whiteboard. Since we know that students who have a hard time focusing for long periods of time seem to not have any attention span issues when it comes to the use of technology, this is where you're going to want to play toward their weakness, to flip it and turn it into a huge strength. Using the technology to help them see things differently can help ensure that those students who need extra attention or remediation can grasp key concepts and master the skills expected of them. You could also weave technology into small group projects to give them new life and purpose to their work. The trick here is to be creative with how you design a project that incorporates technology and meets all of the new standards, including the next generation learning standards. PowerPoints, animations, and digital sketchnoting are just a few ways to do this. Used correctly, technology even invites teachers to become more innovative with their lessons and can even help them run their classrooms more efficiently. Consider these questions when thinking about how you integrate technology into your classroom. Do you use technology in the classroom at all? If so, to what degree? Do you even feel comfortable using technology to enhance lessons? How much technology integration do you feel is even necessary? Is there a point at which technology becomes too much of a distraction in your classroom? And how can you incorporate new technology tools for teaching to make your life easier as an educator and more creative and your instruction more focused for the kids? I think we can all agree that it goes without saying that many teachers sometimes feel unsupported with regard to implementing technology into their classroom. With so many options available, some don't even know where to begin. Now, occasionally, teachers try new things and they may even be eager to do so, but the process may become so haphazard that many quit trying to infuse their lessons with technology before giving it a real solid chance. Now, with this podcast, I hope to help you tackle these three main areas of concern. Number one, how can you integrate technology effectively to create a more powerful learning environment? Number two, how can you use technology to help you with your classroom and time management? And third, but not last here, how can you manage technology itself, from connecting various tools and making them work together seamlessly to even troubleshooting and maintenance and just plain old keeping up with the speed at which technology changes? Additionally, this podcast is not just for the rookie teacher. I want to make that clear, but also for the veteran teacher who wants to meet the needs of today's tech-savvy students. And let's face it, a lot of our students today can teach us a thing or two about technology. I'm hoping that these ideas will help promote engagement and differentiation, communication, exploration, and even student-to-student collaboration, and sometimes even student-to-teacher collaboration, as a way to foster creativity and imagination on all grade levels. It's important to note that with most things these days, technology becomes obsolete rather quickly, changing faster than most of us can even keep up with. The objective here is to take in technology fully and accept your role as a 21st century teacher, not just a technology teacher, even a regular everyday classroom teacher. What is your role as a 21st century teacher? One whose conventional style of teaching with the technological eye toward change can also be ultimately morphed into a high-tech savvy hybrid educator. And of course, as time moves on, we all know that things are going to get more challenging with technology incorporation. And even if you're still not completely comfortable with technology in your classroom, your students can mostly certainly help you out. And if you play to their strengths, you're going to find that they really can surprise you. I've been in education since 1998, first as a classroom teacher teaching 5th and 6th grades, and then as a technology media arts teacher. But it wasn't until I became my school's technology teacher and received my second master's in school building leadership and technology from New York Institute of Technology on Long Island that I finally understood the potential impact that technology has, not just for a school as a whole, but for individual students. Now, at the time, I was using a smartboard and using Smart's classroom management software called Synchronize to help me monitor what students were doing on their computers and their laptops. And just by using the smartboard's timer and clocks was a huge help in terms of my classroom management. It was like magic. Next, I started to create fully interactive lessons that motivated students instantly. And I became very aware of some of the tactics that I needed to implement in order to improve students' learning and experience in my classroom. When I began integrating technology, starting with my smartboard and the main lesson focused starting point, I quickly noticed a sudden increase in student engagement. Naturally, as I used more and more technology and expanded my repertoire, I quickly saw that a lot of what I was doing in my classroom resulted in higher level thinking skills in my students. It just seemed very logical to support traditional paper and pencil work with the newer, more modern way of learning, and working through technology growing pains to do so did pay off. So how do you set up a classroom to integrate the various technology tools available in education today? When we come back, we'll take a look at setting up your classroom to utilize technology to your advantage. We'll be right back after this. Are you a dedicated educator searching for fresh and engaging resources to inspire your students? Look no further than Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers. Discover a treasure trove of easy-to-use lesson plans, vibrant visuals, and interactive activities designed to captivate young minds and ignite their love for learning. Unlock the potential within your classroom with Highly Motivated, from differentiated lap books to test prep passages on a multitude of topics. Our wide range of materials cater to most elementary and middle school grade levels. Join the community of passionate teachers who have already transformed their classrooms. Visit Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers and get ready to inspire, motivate, and empower your students like never before. Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers, where knowledge meets inspiration. Welcome back to Classroom Dynamics. When it comes to the classroom design of your workspace, the layout directly impacts how students learn. There is no question that the starting point to everything educational, and even more specifically a 21st century classroom, design and layout makes all the difference. A 21st century classroom is even more intricate, and additional thought should go into how the classroom functions as a whole. If your classroom is rich in technology use, there are a number of things that are needed to be considered in order to organize and utilize your equipment in an effective and efficient, practical manner. To start, look at your classroom from multiple vantage points and notice where the technology is. Do you have a dedicated space for desktop stations or even a laptop cart? Do you use iPads or tablets of some sort? Where are they located, and where do students go once they're using them? These are some of the questions you have to ask yourself when creating or even recreating your classroom environment. Because after all, if you have the technology in your classroom, you're probably going to want to use it and use it effectively. There is no use in having an interactive whiteboard in an area of a classroom that isn't conducive for learning. There should be plenty of space around so the kids can move around freely and access all the various pieces of equipment that you have to offer. Now, as a tip, you may consider drawing your classroom layout on an old-fashioned piece of paper to get a better understanding of what your classroom looks like and how the floor plan allows for technology integration. Planning it out now will give you a different perspective of what your classroom looks like and how it functions. And it's also going to give you an idea as to how to rearrange it for comfort and for ease of mobility later on. I really believe that a purposeful classroom design and layout are key to a successful school day. If the design and layout of your classroom is not conducive to learning and moving about easily, it's going to make everything else more difficult to do, trust me, and it will ultimately take away from the flow of your day and add to the small issues that typically arise as a result. When technology plays an important role in your everyday routine, you'll need to pay special attention to how your students and instruction move from one area of your classroom to the next. When designing your room around technology, I always start with the biggest piece of equipment, and in most cases, that's going to be your interactive whiteboard. And there are a lot of IWBs that are out there on the market. More on some of those at a later time. Ideally, though, you're going to want to make it the focal point of your classroom. I highly recommend discussing the most ideal placement of your interactive whiteboard with your principal or your custodial engineer, and even the vendor or whomever installs the equipment, to find out really where the best possible location for the panel itself is. This way, you're not going to have to flip-flop your entire classroom and shuffle all of your furniture around just to accommodate an interactive whiteboard. However, many teachers may not have a say in the matter at all, so they're just going to have to adjust and possibly compromise on a location for their board, perhaps simply because of where the electrical outlets are located in the classroom, for example. Another thing to think about is where your students are going to sit during a lesson. Now, is there enough room in the front of the interactive whiteboard to house your entire class comfortably? Will everyone be able to see clearly from where they're sitting? And while your students are sitting in front of the board, how are they going to come up to the board to actually interact with it? You wouldn't want to have students sit so close to the board that there's no room for you and at least one other student to stand in front of it to actually, interact with the interactive whiteboard. During lessons, that's the most important part, interactions. It's part of the lesson. Now, making the interactive whiteboard the focal point of your classroom and building the learning environment around the board itself is the best way to go. Once you have defined the space, think about where students will sit around the classroom. How many students do you even have, and how can you optimally fit them all in a given space? Where is your classroom library? Where are the students' cubbies or their closets? What about the windows? What's the ideal way to set up their desks? Are they going to be in rows or in pairs or even in small table groups? Where will your desk and belongings go? These are all things to consider, and by giving lots of thought and planning to the design and layout of your classroom, especially now, it's going to make the transitions such as having students come together for a lesson or go up to a laptop cart or even line up for lunch effortless and routine. Just remember, you can always rearrange your classroom if it means making it a bit more efficient and environmentally sound for you and your students. So just to review, we've talked about just how much technology has infiltrated our classrooms, how fast it changes, and how to be more confident in the use of technology when it comes to your everyday. We also discussed putting a lot of thought and effort up front when it comes to your classroom design, because the use of technology to make your everyday go just the way you want it to go is just as important as planning the lesson itself. We talked about how technology can be effectively used in the classroom, especially in small groups for differentiated instruction. We talked about how your interactive whiteboards can be utilized for targeted instruction and digital interaction with students. We mentioned that incorporating technology into small group projects can bring new life and purpose to student work, and technology can make teachers more innovative and improve classroom management. More importantly, we also talked about self-assessing and how teachers should ask themselves questions about their technology use and how to incorporate new tools for easier and more focused instruction. And most of all, we pointed out that classroom design and layout play a crucial role in utilizing technology effectively. Now, interactive whiteboards should be the focal point of the classroom. We mentioned that, with clear visibility for all students. Consider the seating arrangement and proximity to the interactive whiteboard for student interaction. And thoughtful classroom design and layout can improve transitions and routine in using technology and can even optimize efficiency and create an engaging learning environment. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Classroom Dynamics, where knowledge and inspiration meets innovation. I hope you've enjoyed today's discussion and found it both to be insightful and uplifting. And as always, my goal is to provide you with practical strategies, engaging stories, and powerful insights that can fuel your motivation as an educator. I believe that when knowledge and inspiration do come together, incredible things can happen in your classroom. And for all of you who may feel that it's too late to strengthen your craft, I challenge you to make it your mission to do so. You've worked hard to get to where you are today, and it's never too late to infuse new life into your work, so why not make today that day to do so? But before we go, I want to take a moment to thank you, our amazing listeners. Your dedication to creating a dynamic learning environment for yourself and your students is truly inspiring on its own. I'm Adam Todd, and you've been listening to Classroom Dynamics, a teacher podcast. You can follow Classroom Dynamics on Twitter at ClassDynamics. If you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. We'll be back soon with more captivating conversations, inspiring stories, and strategies that you can implement immediately into your everyday routines. Until then, keep igniting that spark in your classroom and never stop believing in the incredible impact you have as an educator. You're more powerful and inspirational than you think.